Okay, so get this right. Today, um, we're diving into something really, really unique, a time traveler's diary. I know what you're thinking, but hold on, this isn't like your typical journal, with faded ink and cryptic entries and stuff. No, no,
Mm,
we're talking about an MP3 file
yeah.
dropped anonymously online back in 2013 after being
Mhm.
found in an abandoned park in Ohio. And guess what? No one's ever been able to track down the author.
Wow. It's like a voice from the future, basically,
Yeah.
just kind of floating out there,
Yeah,
in the digital ether.
exactly.
Yeah.
And this voice is claiming to have journeyed to the year 2060. It's full of
Oh.
fascinating details about future tech and the state of the world, but also a deeply personal account of encountering their own future self. It's talk about heavy stuff, right?
Yeah, no kidding. What's immediately striking to me is the time travel method itself. Our diarist who mentions being a linguistic student claims to have stumbled upon time travel using uranium and unpentium in wait for it, a food dehydrator.
A food dehydrator. That's definitely not the sleek time machine we usually picture, right? It's almost like something out of a sci-fi comedy. What do those
Hold on.
elements even do?
Well, uranium. Uranium's
And
typically used
undoubtedly.
in nuclear reactors, and unpentium. Unpentium is it's a synthetic element, extremely radioactive and unstable. Neither is known to have any connection to time travel. But honestly, the how isn't really the point here, I think. What's captivating is the story itself, the implications of someone actually going to the future and coming out to tell the tale.
Right. Like who hasn't daydreamed about
Dipping into the future.
So let's talk about what this future looks like. The diary describes some pretty amazing tech. For instance, cameras that capture entire moments in time, like a 3D snapshot. You can move around it.
Think about that for a second, right? Imagine reliving your favorite memories, not just seeing them, but actually being back in that moment from any angle you choose. I mean, we're already seeing the early stages of this with VR and 3D imaging, but the diary takes it to a whole other level.
It's mind-blowing and a bit scary, to be honest. Imagine the potential for misuse or the feeling of being constantly watched.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It makes you wonder about the ethical implications of such advanced technology. And speaking of ethical considerations, the diary also mentions walk-in antibiotic booths being commonplace in 2060, used to combat some really nasty, untreatable viruses.
Oh, like a superpowered hand sanitizer station. It sounds like something straight out of a dystopian movie, but also sadly not that far-fetched considering the growing problem.
Well, antibiotic resistance we're facing right now.
Exactly. It highlights the potential consequences if we don't take those threats seriously. Definitely a sobering thought.
Yeah.
But it gets even more intense. The diary paints a rather bleak picture of the environment in 2060. With major cities like Beijing completely abandoned due to pollution. It's a chilling reminder of the potential consequences
of climate changing.
It is. Whether or not this particular vision of the future comes to pass, the underlying message is clear. We need to pay attention to our planet's health now.
Yeah. And then there's this detail about the news in 2060. Being completely trustworthy, apparently, news outlets are held to incredibly high standards of accuracy with severe penalties for any misinformation. Is that even possible?
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it? Imagine a world where you could fully trust every news report you read or heard, but then it also makes you think about how you achieve that level of reliability. What kind of regulations would be needed? Would there be any unintended consequences like limitations on free speech? It's like a double-edged sword. We all want reliable information, but how much control are we willing to sacrifice to get it? It's a debate we're already having today. But the diary suggests it becomes even more crucial in the future.
Right. Yeah. It really makes you think about what we value, information versus freedom.
For sure.
But, amidst all this talk of futuristic technology and societal shifts, the diary, it takes a surprisingly personal turn. It's not just about observing the future, it's about confronting one's own mortality.
Yeah, this is where things get really intense and honestly pretty emotional. The diarist describes traveling to their childhood home in 2060, only to find their elderly parents grieving their death. Can you even imagine?
It's a heartbreaking scenario to see the impact of your own death on the people you love years before it actually happens. It would be a heavy burden to carry.
I can't even fathom it. To be right there, but unable to comfort them, to say anything. The diary mentions they couldn't bring themselves to reveal their presence, just it's observed from a distance.
Wow. It makes you think about the nature of grief and loss. Would knowing the future, knowing the exact moment someone you love will lose you, would it lessen the pain or amplify it?
Right. Like, would that knowledge help you cherish the present more? Or would it just cast a shadow over everything?
It's a difficult question to answer, but the diarist seems to struggle with this very dilemma. They talk about how knowing their future, especially the inevitability of their death, drains the joy and spontaneity from life.
That makes sense in a way. Like, what's the point of striving for something if you already know the outcome? Where's the excitement in that?
Yeah. It touches on the idea of free will versus determinism. Do we have the power to shape our destiny, or is everything preordained? The diarist, having glimpsed their future, seems to lean towards the latter, feeling trapped by a fate they can't escape.
So in a way, they're saying that
not knowing
the uncertainty is actually what gives life its meaning.
It seems that way. The diarist argues that it's the mystery, the possibility of surprise, the hope for something better that keeps us going. Knowing everything, even the bad stuff, could rob us of that drive, that sense of purpose.
Yeah. It's almost like they're saying ignorance is bliss, at least when it comes to our own personal timelines. But wouldn't you be tempted, just a little, to peek into the future if you had the chance?
I think we all have that curiosity within us. But the diarist experience serves as a cautionary tale. There's a real emotional cost to such knowledge.
Right. It's like that saying, "Be careful what you wish for. You might not like what you find." So this diarist returns to 2013, seemingly unchanged, but forever burdened by what they saw in the future.
Exactly. The diary ends on a rather somber note. They describe the crushing weight of knowing their future, how it diminishes the excitement and wonder of everyday life.
And it leaves us with so many questions. Is this a genuine account of time travel, an elaborate hoax, or maybe a creative way to explore deeper philosophical questions, a date, free will, and the human experience?
It's a puzzle, and we may never know of the full truth. But that ambiguity is part of what makes the diary so compelling, isn't it? It forces us to grapple with the big questions, to contemplate the possibilities, however improbable they may seem.
It really does. And one thing that really struck me is how the diarist described it. The future is both advanced, and in some ways familiar. Like we can see hints of those technologies, and
societal challenges emerging today.
Right. That's a great observation. It's almost as if the diary is holding up a mirror to our present, showing us potential paths we might take as a society. The immersive cameras, the antibiotic booths, the environmental concerns, the struggle with misinformation. These are all issues we're grappling with right now.
So it's like a glimpse into a possible future, a future that might be closer than we think.
No.
And that brings us back to this whole question of choice. If you could glimpse your own future, would you want to know how things turn out, even if it meant losing that sense of possibility? It's a tough one. On the one hand, the unknown can be scary. We like to feel in control, to have a sense of where we're headed, but on the other hand, isn't that uncertainty part of what makes life exciting? It's the unexpected twists and turns that make the journey worthwhile.
And it's not just about the big milestones, right? It's the small moments too, the chance encounters, the unexpected opportunities, the little joys that we might miss if we are too focused
on a
predetermined path.
Absolutely. And even if we could know our future, would we really want to live with that knowledge? The diarist's experience suggests that it can be a heavy burden, robbing life of its spontaneity and wonder.
It's like they're saying that sometimes not knowing is a gift. It allows us to hope, to dream, to keep striving for something better, even if we don't know exactly what that better is.
And perhaps that's the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. Whether this time traveler's tale is true or not, it challenges us to think about the value of the present moment, the beauty of the unknown, and the power of our choices in shaping the future, whatever it may hold.
It's a reminder that even in a world that feels increasingly predictable, there's still magic to be found.
Yeah.
In the mystery of it all.
And who knows, right? Maybe someday we'll find out what happened to the mysterious diarists. Maybe they're out there somewhere, still pondering these same questions.
Until then, I think this deep dive has given us plenty to think about.
It certainly has. And as we move forward into whatever future awaits us, it's worth remembering the lessons we've gleaned from this unusual tale. Embrace the mystery, cherish the present, and remember that the future is not set in stone. We all have a role to play in shaping it.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah.
Into the unknown.
It's been my pleasure.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, if time travel were real, would we even want to know our futures, or just embrace the mystery?
Yeah, it's a question for the ages, really. Philosophers, storytellers, they've all wrestled with this one.
Right,
this diary, whether it's fact or fiction, it really brings those questions, into sharp focus.
It does. And one thing that really struck me was how the diarists described the future as both like advanced, right, but also in some ways familiar. Like we could see hints of those technologies and those societal challenges like emerging today.
Right. It's almost like the diary is holding up a mirror kind of to our present, showing us potential paths we might take as a society. The immersive cameras, the antibiotic booths, the environmental concerns, the struggle with misinformation. These are all issues, that we're grappling with.
Right now, it's like a glimpse into a possible future.
And
a future that might be closer than we think. which brings us back to this whole question of choice. If you could glimpse your own future, would you want to know how things turn out, even if it meant losing that sense of possibility?
It's a tough one, no doubt. On the one hand, the unknown can be scary. We like to feel in control, like we've got a sense of where we're headed. But on the other hand, isn't that uncertainty part of what makes life exciting? It's the unexpected twists and turns, right, that make the journey worthwhile.
Exactly. And that's not just about the big milestones, is it? It's the small moments too, the chance encounters, the unexpected opportunities, the little joys that we might miss if we were too focused on a predetermined path.
Absolutely. And even if we could know our future, would we? Would we really want to live with that knowledge? I mean, the diarist's experience suggests it can be a real heavy burden, robbing life of its spontaneity and wonder.
Yeah. It's like they're saying that sometimes not knowing is a gift. It allows us to hope, to dream, to keep striving for something better, even if we don't
exactly
know what that better looks like.
Yeah. And perhaps that's the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. Whether this time traveler's tale is true or not, it challenges us to think about the value of the present moment, the beauty of the unknown, and the power of our choices in shaping the future, whatever it may hold.
It's a reminder that even in a world that feels increasingly predictable, there's still magic to be found in the mystery of it all.
Who knows? Maybe someday we'll find out what happened to the mysterious diarists. Maybe they're out there somewhere, still pondering these same questions.
Yeah. Until then, I think this deep dive has given us plenty to think about.
It certainly has. And as we move forward into whatever future awaits us, it's worth remembering the lessons we've gleaned from this unusual tale. Embrace the mystery, cherish the present, and remember that the future is not set in stone. We all have a role to play in shaping it.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown.
It's been my pleasure.
It really is a lot to think about.
It is, and it makes you wonder, right, about the nature of time and how it shapes our perception of reality.
Yeah. And what's so interesting to me is that even though this diary, it's supposedly from the future, right? It still feels relevant to us today. Like the themes it explores are things we're still grappling with right now.
I agree. It's like his diary is a message in a bottle from our future selves, almost warning us about the potential pitfalls and urging us to
make wiser choices. And maybe that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the whole reason this diary exists.
Yeah.
To make us stop and think about the path we're on, and the future we're creating for ourselves.
It's a powerful message, and one that I think we all need to hear.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And till next time, keep exploring the mysteries of the universe.
And remember, the future is not set in stone. We all have the power to shape it.